Ooh, it is recording.
Sweet.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the channel. I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here. We got Two to Ramble, one of my favorite booktubers, Austin and Richard. Um, we're just going to talk about books and hot takes. So how you guys been?
I'm doing pretty well myself. I can't complain. Still got I get to be in the nice set, and Austin gets relegated to his, for some reason, really red face, like light. I don't know what you got.
Oh, you know what, Zach? You recorded too early. Hold on, let me get that light going.
No, it's just a moment of like I appreciate the amount of effort we went into like making lighting a thing.
I just thought you were.
How's that?
Ooh, look at that.
There you go. I just figured you're really into the new Batman movie. It's just always red. So I figured that's what you were into, which is cool. I mean, so am I. So
there, a little bit. That's a little better. Okay, perfect.
Dude, I swear the lighting is probably the biggest pain in the butt for YouTube. Like,
it's one of them.
I struggled so much when I first got into it, like for lighting, and now I have like these big giant lights are blinding me about 95% of the time, and my girlfriend's like, "You probably shouldn't have those. Just use a ring light." And I'm like, "Dude, you need these lights."
Nah, she doesn't get it. You gotta. No. It's the bigger the better. That's
what I told her. I was like, "Trust me, you don't know. You don't." She thought it was so weird that I was like, I would watch people on YouTube. She's like, "I thought YouTube's for kids," so that was pretty embarrassing.
Oh.
I know.
I mean,
sorry, did you say girlfriend, fiance, or bully? Like, what is she to you?
Basically, all of it. I was like, but then she reads, like, of course, Sarah J. Maas. So I don't think she has much of an opinion. So that's what I told her.
See, you guys have the same relationship Rich and I do. This is great. Your girlfriend is my Rich.
But I mean, I was telling Richard that I'm not allowed to read like Throne of Glass because I am too mean on books. So I'm allowed to read ACOTAR, and I'm on the third book so far. So,
so you say you're too mean to books?
So you gotta give us some context and explain of like, okay, you're not allowed to read Throne of Glass because you're too harsh. So she's like, check out ACOTAR because this. Even a real book critic can't deny the masterpiece of ACOTAR.
But yeah, she told me that Throne of Glass is her favorite series. Like she's literally getting the sword of it tattooed on her spine. It's crazy. And so I respect it. Yeah, I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So I started reading ACOTAR, and I was like, man, dude, Feyre sucks, dude. Like, she is awful.
If you write that down in a notepad, she'll never know you said that. She can't read either. So you got her.
Awesome. I tell her right to her face how much I don't like this.
Oh, okay.
I am so brutal. I have to. Like, she will ask me an honest opinion of like when I read ACOTAR, and I'll tell her to her face. I'm like, look, this is some cheeks and not the good kind. So I just.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't mean to say you. I was talking about Feyre, the Feyre character.
Feyre can't read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
You can't forget that. Come on.
Yeah, that's
one of the funnier parts.
It is. Like the ending, I was telling my girl, I kind of liked the beginning of the book. It was fine. And then the ending was just such a 180 that I was like, where are we going in this? And don't even get me started about book 2. That one made me so mad too. Oh,
did you like book 1 or book 2 better?
I think I liked. Oh God, I gave him the same rating. I gave him both 3.
What was your rating? Like, did you do out of 10 or out of 5 or?
So I always do out of 5s in general.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be really nice when it comes to ratings. Some books, but like I gave each of them, I think 3s out of 5. So it's like it's a book. That's kind of my logic when I give 3 stars to a book.
Got it.
But if I had to give it like a real rating, probably like a 2. Just say.
If you don't mind, I would love to talk about this. First, Zach, thank you for having us on. I don't even thank you. Thank you. We just talked about our lighting and like, oh look at us. And so thank you for having us on. Question about that. I get a little peeved. And you know what, Zach, that made me a little angry there. You talk all this talk. I don't like this book. Oh, it sucks. 3 stars.
Yeah, I know.
Say it with
What
your
is
chest.
that?
Because I just posted today a book I didn't like and gave it a 1.5 star. And I get it. People are going to be upset, especially if they really like the book. But come on, we got it. What about using that full scale? Like, what's a 1-star book to you then? Are you ever going to give it? Is the 1-star books the ones you don't read? Or am I maybe I'm misjudging?
I'll show you guys.
Okay, show me.
This is a 1-star read.
What is that?
Credence.
The
girly talk will know. I have a video, like a 15-minute video of me ranting about how disgusting this book is.
Disgusting?
It's so I'm a big fan of like the grossness, but this is more of like incest, but it's romanticized. It's so uncomfortable. And I was like, no, this is the 1-star. And I think I'm more favored with Akatar to give it a 3 because of my girlfriend. If it wasn't for her, I'd probably give it a lot lower rated.
Gotcha.
But like, honestly, I think the lowest rating book besides Credence is, well, Fourth Wing's definitely on there. I think Fourth Wing, I gave it a 1-star, if I can remember.
So you disliked it more than Akatar then?
Oh, yeah. I think Akatar, I mean, honestly, they kind of felt the same the more I think about it after, but I'm like, I feel like Sarah J. Maas is just more entertaining. Her characters are not nearly as cringe, I think. I don't know. It's really hard because I feel like they're all like the same.
Well, they're all just worse copies of Jane Austen's characters.
See,
I've read one Jane Austen book, and I'm now just like, yep, everything else is a copy of this. It's all Pride and Prejudice, and I refuse to be moved.
You guys can judge me on this one. I actually DNF Pride and Prejudice, not because I disliked it. I just wasn't in the mood to read it. So I got put that out there. I only read
harder book to get into.
It is. It's a lot, and I just wasn't really there yet for it. I was like, you know what? I think the writing's really good. I only read like 10 pages of it, and I thought it was phenomenal. I'm like, this is good. But mentally, I just wasn't prepared, I guess. So no, sadly, it's on my want to read bad.
Highly recommend. Rosamund Pike does an audiobook of it. I thought it was really good. He does a really great job.
That sounds good, actually. Like, I wanted to read Pride, and then I wanted to do Gone with the Wind, and I DNF both of them just because I wasn't really feeling it. I don't know what it was. I'd read the first 10 pages, and I was like, I'm not going to force myself to read this book because these are classics for a reason. Like, these are good books. So I just don't want to force myself to read them. And I think that's kind of why I felt like I didn't like Wheel of Time as much, because I forced myself to read every single book.
You said the magic words right there. You didn't like what? Could you say that again for the people in the back? You didn't like what now?
I didn't like Wheel of Time.
Oh, how far did you get?
Yeah, you had more positives to say than negatives in your video.
Yeah, this is the same guy that gave 3 stars to Akatar. Don't listen to him. Okay, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But Zach, you gave how many books did you read?
That is very true.
In the Wheel of Time series. What'd you get up to?
I read all 14. I didn't read the New Spring one.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you finished the series and left not liking the finale as well? Or?
I think all right. I got some hot takes, and a lot of people on my channel actually like subscribe to me because they like my takes, which I was like, no way. I'm not the biggest like Brandon Sanderson fan either. I'm gonna put that out there. I just don't like his writing too much. I'm gonna say that. Like, I didn't finish Stormlight. I got to book 4, and I was like 10 chapters in, and I just was like, this ain't for me, dog. So I gotta put that out there. But I will say, I think Brandon Sanderson did a great job at ending Wheel of Time. I will say that. I think I definitely can understand why people are like, dude, the ending is like the best part of Wheel of Time. I could definitely see that. But oh my gosh, that slog is like a real thing. I thought it was just make believe, but
I take back what I said. Zach knows exactly what he's talking about. He's my favorite person. I've always loved Zach. I never said anything wrong about Zach. You're correct.
I try and keep it pretty real. I get it. I feel worse when I critique books because like I understand what that writing process is like an author, but it's like you can't sit there and tell people, oh, I like this, because you're just gaslighting people. That's how I kind of look at it.
Yeah, no, honesty is integrity is the most valuable thing on like YouTube generally.
Oh yeah,
I would say so. Like, why be here if you're not going to be honest with it?
I absolutely agree. It's just no point in faking it. I will never. That's why, like, I don't know. I'll post things, and sometimes I think I'm like, should I?
It's that social pressure of going, oh, I know this is not the norm. I know I'm in the minority, especially when you get 14 books deep into a series
Oh
that
yeah,
anybody that's reading book 14 of a series, they love the series. So you are debating amongst people who love it. Whereas if you read book 1 of Wheel of Time, you'll find a ton of people who are just like, yeah, I didn't continue with the series. It sucks with any series that you read.
oh
So like
yeah,
the further you get in, the harder it is to these you feel worse, like you're a part, you become less and less of the majority, unless it's something like Game of Thrones, where then the fandom goes, oh no, this was bad, they did not
yeah,
do it. There's cases like that, but is that a part of it where you read so many of the books and you go, dang, who's even on my side here, who
yeah.
finishes the Wheel of Time and thinks, eh, you know
I yeah, I haven't met anyone that's finished a series and they're like, yeah, this is kind of mid. But yet again, it's like, so I bought when I got into reading, I was like 20, and my first book I read, so I never hardly read when I was in high school or younger. I only read Percy Jackson because it was goaded. But after high school, I told my mom, like, Mom, I'm gonna try and read 10 books. And so she bought me The Dark Half from Stephen King, and that kind of got me hooked. And I went to this used bookstore. No joke, every book there was $1. Every
Oh.
single book, and they had the whole entire Wheel of Time series there. So I just bought them all because I didn't know what Wheel of Time was. I was like, "This looks like fantasy," and I never read them. I just had them for years, and then I seen, like, Daniel Green was talking about Wheel of Time a couple years ago when I first knew BookTube was a thing, and he talked about how great they were, and I'm not kidding, it took me, like, 3 years to finish the series because I was like, "Oh my gosh." It's oh, Naive, I hated so much, but Egwene is probably my least favorite character. I'm gonna put that one out there. Egwene is the definition of failing upwards, and it makes me so mad. I just have to put that one out there too.
Rich, what's your reaction to that?
Everyone's allowed to be wrong. It's fine. Like, we live in an imperfect world. In an imperfect world, people are allowed to make mistakes.
That's true. I mean, I'm not
And so
gonna hate on it.
we must tolerate the ignorance in others.
You two are making a big mistake not being closer to your cameras right now. I'm just saying, you guys are a little far away. I don't feel as intimate with both of you right now. This
Well,
is
the first one, my face was like this close. So I was like, let's try backing up this. Yeah, I was like, what am I doing, dude? Like,
you have great lighting though. Like you're talking about lighting here, and I'm noticing like you could see the top light is going in, and your bookshelf. I know it's in the corner in the background, but have you thought about when doing BookTube of how intentional is your space now? Because is that a Zeppelin poster behind you?
yeah.
That like is that intentional or was that already there? And you go, this is where I'm recording.
So I put that there. Oh man, in my videos, I feel so bad for myself because you could see so many different ways of how I had my setups. And so I moved into originally I had a studio apartment. So
Yeah.
the backdrop was awful. You would see like the kitchen, and then you would just see it was just bad. It was kind of ghetto. That's why I tell my girl, I was like, it was super bad. And
Mm.
she's like, well, yeah, you didn't do anything. But then I moved to my one bedroom and I just messed with everything. And in May, my girlfriend and I are moving in together. So she's giving me like an office. So I have this whole new setup. But yeah, I did this all set up. And there's this guy on YouTube I watch named Papa Meat, or Meat Canyon. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him.
No.
He's
No.
he's an interesting guy. He doesn't do booktube. I'm just saying, check him out. Highly recommend. But he has like the TV. So I was like, dude, I'm gonna play movies in the background. But VHS, you guys should remember VHS.
Yeah.
Mine broke after like 4 videos, and that cost a lot of money to repair. So I was like, I'll buy another one eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a lot of pain and suffering of figuring out lighting constantly. And oh my gosh, it's awful.
You were mentioning before we started recording how tough it is to get that 1,000 subscriber marker. How long have you been doing BookTube now? and how much work did that take to get there?
So technically 3 years. I'm gonna say technically because I didn't really start grinding until last year.
Got it.
And some videos really popped off. But the one that got me over 1,000 is I made a video about TikTok where like people are literally just are not reading books, they're just skim reading.
Mhm.
And that was my biggest video, which was like 15,000 views, and I gave it being 200 subscribers.
What was your take there that people skim read?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
people on TikTok are like making it popular to skim read. And I was
Really?
like, this is ridiculous.
I think I may have seen your video then a little while ago. I think I've seen that. Then again, maybe there's multiple
Well,
videos on that topic.
yeah, there was a girl that posted it. So I was like, this is a good idea. I'm going to try this. And oh my gosh, yeah, like people are like, there's too many words in this page. I only read dialogue. I don't care what they look like. And I'm like, what? Why are you reading? Yeah. And I got a lot of hate from fellow book talkers that are like, oh, I can't believe you would say that. And everyone on TikTok's like that. I'm like, I don't care. I'm trying to like say, why are you posting about skim reading then? You know, like what's the point of reading?
I actually got into a similar argument with my mother about it.
Oh, really?
Same thing. She skim reads a lot as well. And I'm just like, why bother? Why bother
Exactly.
reading the book then? But then she did have a good point of she's skim reading like biographies.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, all right, I get it still, but not the best, I would say.
Well, and then you ask them, you're like, what was that book about? And they cannot tell you anything. It's crazy. It's like, dang. Granted, I did famously said before recording that I don't remember too much from Wheel of Time. But I remember plot points and stuff, of course, but a lot of the finer details, besides Jordan talking about, the details of someone's dress or the curtains, I will forget about those. But like certain characters, I will not ever forget because they're like ingrained in my mind. Like Matt, he's probably the GOAT, just saying.
Oh, Matt's amazing, but it kind of makes me think about there are some series out there that I've read that I know are technically good.
Yeah.
Like actually of good quality, well written, intricate worlds where it's like, yeah, but I just didn't connect with it and I wasn't as interested in the things that the book was trying to do.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so from my point of view, the book sucks. I'm thinking of like Tad Williams, the
Oh.
Dragonbone Chair. I
Oh,
liked
no.
the first one. The second book I hated. Third book, no. But I know it's good. I know it's a good book. It's just I could not connect with it, and all of the world building, which is a lot of it, I just didn't get involved. And I imagine it's somewhat similar. Of there are books and genres like you just don't connect with it. So like I would imagine both you and you, Zach, Austin. My guess is it would be really, really hard pressed to find like a Wheel of Time like story that you guys would like at all. Is
Yeah.
my guess. Is any kind of like farm boy classic fantasy is probably just not going to connect with you. Is my guess.
So
You know what I mean? Of like it,
yeah.
because I understand like there's the main thing is it applies to almost everything. There's romantasy novels that whether it's good or not, it's probably not going to connect with me. So
That's my
ooh.
cat, Salem.
What's your cat's
Hey.
name?
He is in the video sometimes. So is my other one, Artemis.
Artemis.
Yeah. She's the runt of the family. When I got her, she was a tortoiseshell calico, and she's like this big around. She's so fat. But I do agree with that. And I mean, so used to be one of my all-time favorite series, but I respect it a lot is Lord of the Rings. But it's like to me, it's more of like I like the movies more than like the book. I respect the book. I only read the books once, but it's more of like I love the movies more, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
There's just a lot in that trilogy. It's like, oh, but I also understand when it was written. So it's like, oh, okay, that's fine. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I do understand that. Like, yeah, Farm Boy is cool, but I don't know, it feels very overdone so much.
but it's a farm hobbit. It's different.
That's true. That's why I try.
But I do agree with you. Rich and I have that disagreement where I like the movies more than the books, but same, likewise. I mean, I respect the books, but also like the books. But it's definitely a difference too of the order that you were introduced to the stories. It's sometimes tough because we grew up, or at least I grew up with the movies.
Oh, yeah.
And then read the books later. And someone like Rich was able to do that and still like the books more. But sometimes if you get so attached to your first introduction to something, that it's hard to reinsert to recycle that emotion that you had the first time. At least from if you have nostalgia for something, because every time I watch the movies, I'm just thinking of me being 7 years old watching those movies for the first time, and just it constantly hits. Oh, well, what's your ranking of the movies? Is it correct?
Oh man, my ranking of the movies actually change every year. So I watch Lord of the Rings every year in December.
Lovely.
My girlfriend thinks it's like the weirdest thing, but I did it with her last year, and I don't think she's ever seen them. So I'm like, we're not doing extended because I feel like that's just not a good move for the first time. But this year we will do extended. But we oh man, every year it seriously changes. Sometimes I go 2, 3, 1, or then I go 3, 1, 2, or 1, 3, 2. They're all so good in their own ways. Like I would argue that they're probably the perfect trilogy of all time. Like besides Planet of the Apes, the newer ones. I don't know if you guys ever seen the newer Planet of the Apes.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
Richard knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, they're great movies. It's so weird how that trilogy does not get more recognition, or like it feels like it just went under the radar.
Oh, absolutely. When everyone's like, "Oh, dude, Star Wars trilogy, the OG is the best." I'm like, Planet of the Apes is way better. Like Return of the Jedi is kind of mix. I have my girlfriend and I argued over this because she's a big Star Wars fan. I was like, Han Solo should have died in Empire Strikes Back. It would have been way better. But she said no because of Leia. I'm like, no, he should have died. His character arc was perfect in that, but whatever.
Yeah.
I get it. Han Solo's cool. Don't get me wrong, he's cool, but yeah. But yeah, the Planet of the Apes trilogy, goated. Like, it's so good.
I'm gonna add that to my letterbox. I'm gonna have to throw that down.
Oh, you should.
I'm surprised you haven't watched those movies, man.
I think I saw the first a while ago, but
yeah, I mean, it's weird that the first one is very good, but then like it still follows up. Every single one after that is also amazing. And it's like,
oh my gosh,
it's much better than it has the right to be.
Yeah, and the CGI holds up really well. And
yeah,
Andy Serkis, right? He plays Caesar, if I can remember.
Yeah, he plays Caesar in the first two, if I'm mistaken. I'm not sure.
He does such a good job. Like
he may be in other roles. I can't remember exactly.
I don't remember either. It's been a while since I've seen that, but like, oh man. Oh, I can recommend you guys some crazy movies. I'm a weirdo for like the really trashy 80s movies. That's for sure.
Best one of my favorite movies that Austin just did not connect with. I think you would like it, Zach. I'm sure you've watched Army of Darkness.
Oh yeah.
Evil Dead. Oh, I think that's it is one of my favorite movies in the sense of I can just quote it verbatim all the time. It's stuck in my head all the time.
This is my boomstick.
I love it.
I actually have
an amazing movie.
The trilogy all in VHS tapes.
Nice.
So I watched the first Evil Dead when I was 13. Probably should not have done that.
Maybe
but
not.
It was so weird. Like, I don't know. I'm not the type that gets like grossed out in horror movies. I don't get scared. So I watched it. I was just, ooh, yeah, I was locked in. And then after that, I just fell in love with Evil Dead. It's, oh my gosh. Yeah. Army of Darkness. A lot of people hate on it, but I think Army of Darkness is really good.
It's the best one.
What?
Yeah.
Even over Evil Dead 2?
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Come on. This is hilarious.
Yeah,
it's my favorite by far.
It's slapstick. I love it. Did you ever see Ash vs. Evil Dead?
Oh, I heard about that one. I did not see it. Was it any good?
Yeah, I liked it. I think season 3 was kind of weak, but I liked it
Okay.
a lot. It's I tell a lot of people that I feel like the Evil Dead franchise is arguably like one of the better horror franchises. I don't think any of them are bad. Like
Hmm.
I would give them all at least a 6 out of 10. You know, like I wouldn't say any of them are bad. I don't feel like I can go in there and just enjoy them, I guess is the
Mhm.
best way to explain it. Unless it's Friday the
Fair enough.
13th. Don't watch Friday the 13th. Those are really bad. But
Yeah, the horror genre generally is just not my cup of tea in movies generally.
that's fair.
But
Yeah.
I did want to get back. I thought it was interesting of both of you guys not like liking the movies more than the books for Lord of the Rings. And like it doesn't surprise me nearly as much. If to me it makes sense. You know, of like I honestly do kind of agree with Christopher Tolkien's take on the movies of them being very different focuses.
Oh yeah.
Of one, like the movies being action adventure movies kind of first with great, and this is where I would disagree with Christopher, is I do think the underlying message and themes of the book are there,
Oh yeah.
but the focus and it's wrapped in the adventure, the action adventure package versus the books completely opposite. Like all the action adventure is just tiny footnotes
Yeah.
and it's a whimsical journey with like mystery and like you are supposed to get just sucked into like the poems and the stories and they're very very different material, I think.
Oh yeah. I do agree with that. Like, well, so when I started reading Lord of the Rings, I didn't know he was. I didn't like how it's set up. I was hoping it would go back, like bounce back with like POVs, because
Mhm.
it's rough when you get to Sam and Frodo. I feel like it's kind of rough to read through because it just slows right down in the books. But also, it's like you kind of just enjoy it. I'm kind of there just for fun because it's like I know what's happening, but I don't know. I mean, I watched The Two Towers when it came out in theaters, and I was horrified because the Battle of Helm's Deep really messed me up because the orcs just freaked me out at like 7 years old. But I was like, let's go. So I think it's a lot of nostalgia. I didn't read Lord of the Rings until I was 19, so it's like I think
Mhm.
nostalgia really plays a big role on it. But I read like The Hobbit before I watched the movies, and thank God I did that because those are rough. Those are some rough movies.
Yeah, the thing is there's a solid Hobbit movie within the trilogy,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, of like you cut it up and dice it back together and there's a solid movie there because uh what is the name? Freeman? Austin, do you remember the actor's name that
Martin
plays
Freeman.
Bilbo? Yeah, he's a great Bilbo.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic Bilbo.
He is a
All
really
the
good
actors
Bilbo.
are good roles, but just way too much.
Yeah.
And
It
but yeah,
just it makes no sense. Like the random like dwarf elf like relationship, even though it's like she's a made up character, I'm pretty sure if I can remember. Like she's made up. She's not even like in the lore or anything. You're like, why is this here? I just never understood it. But I really do think about like my nostalgia for a lot of movies, and I try to rewatch some movies to see maybe my nostalgia glasses are on because I tell you what, there's a lot of movies I've been rewatching. I'm like, why did I like this movie? But I've been doing that with books too. I'm actually been rereading a lot of books that I liked as a kid, and they're eh.
don't
Well,
hold
which
up
ones have you
today.
been? Oh, go ahead. What was that?
Which what did you guys say?
Yeah,
Oh no,
what'd you say?
I was agreeing saying does you're saying it doesn't hold up. Which books have you been reading recently?
So I am doing a series on my channel called Revisiting Goosebumps. So I've been revisiting Goosebumps. Those are fun, but I reread like the Spiderweb Chronicles, and those are not very good. And then next I'm doing a series on unfortunate events, and
Oh
then
yeah.
I did Percy Jackson before I made YouTube. Started doing YouTube, so I kind of want to reread Percy Jackson, but I don't think Percy Jackson will be bad. 'Cause I think it's more older, but yeah, I'm doing Goosebumps right now, and Goosebumps. It's so cringe, but it just makes me laugh so hard. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, but I
It's
love
like
it.
those, is it so bad it's good kinda stupid, or it's
Yeah.
just, is it one of those things that was super good to you as a kid, but now that you're an adult, you're like, "Ah, this is why'd I like that?"
Yeah, a little bit of that.
A little bit, yeah.
I what is going on? Sorry, I just had someone try calling me.
Oh, all good.
But, no, I mean, when I'm reading, like, Goosebumps, I try going with an open mind. I'm like, "Look, I'm not 10 years old anymore." But I actually bought Choose Your Own Adventures. I don't know if you guys remember Choose Your Own Adventures.
Oh, yeah.
Man, the first one's really fun, and then you read the other 2, you're like, "Oh gosh, these are not as much fun as I thought." So,
Also, those choose your own adventures, those are written in second person usually, right? I think that's those are the
yeah,
rare cases where you get a second person point of view.
yeah.
I need to see a fantasy author. I actually don't want to see it, but I would be curious how they do it. But we need a second person point of view. We need some of
Harrow the
that.
Ninth.
Was that?
Harrow the Ninth is the sequel to Gideon the Ninth.
It's in second person?
Mm,
The second book is in second person.
Did you read it?
wow.
I have not yet. I have heard
Wow.
mixed to good things.
No way.
So the first book, if give context for people listening and all, first book Gideon the Ninth, the back of the book, like content, like what is the book about? Lesbian necromancers in space.
Oh, I know
That
exactly
is
what
the
you're talking
novel,
about. I
and
remember.
so it's pretty good. It's pretty fun. Like there's nothing particularly deeper than that. It is that book, and if
Mm,
you're down to have a fun time and dialogue's pretty fun, that's the story. But the
no,
second book gets interesting.
interesting is, like, bad?
No, just
Or
weird concept.
oh,
It's in
okay.
second person for a very justifiable plot reason.
Okay. That's so
So
weird. Huh.
apparently it's really trippy.
Now, is it a trilogy? I thought there was only 2. Oh, is the trilogy? So I haven't read it
Um
yet, but
yeah, the last one I believe is Nona the Ninth.
hmm,
So
is it
I'm
gonna be
not
an
sure. They're
is it
all
gonna
three
be
different characters. So
oh, what if it's a 9-book series and just a different character for the ninth? That could be it. But, interesting. I thought about reading that because the cover looked cool because the main character just had sunglasses. I'm like, "Are those aviators?" It's like, "That's kinda rad, actually."
oh
But
yeah, I got them up here.
Yeah, I
I
think that's
can't
on the right side. Yep. But yeah, Zach, have you read any books that have second person other than to choose your own adventure? Because I really
no,
can't think of any other genre that does it like that.
no, honestly, I haven't. I mean, I actually made a video that's coming out in, like yep,
Mm.
that is the cover.
There it
Yep,
is.
that's the one I was thinking of because I thought it looked so cool,
Yep.
but I just haven't read it yet.
This is the one that is in second person, Harrow the Ninth.
Ah, Hera. Okay. I've seen those, but I just haven't bought them because it's like, I don't know, Barnes& and Noble's kinda expensive for books. But, no, I
Yeah.
haven't read anything that has, like, second person besides Choose Your Own Adventures,
Yeah.
and then I maybe think, like, do we I haven't seen a Choose Your Own Adventure in a long time, and maybe
Well, I
that's just
mean
because we're
D and
adults.
D.
Oh, that's true. D&D,
D&D.
that's true. I do play a lot of D&D, so
You mentioned that you had a YouTube video coming out or something that you were working on.
so,
Adventure?
yeah, last week, I told my girl, I was like, "I'm gonna record, like, a ton of videos for, like, these following Fridays, so I don't have to, like, worry about it." So, I have, like, 7 videos coming out in the next following weeks.
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but, yeah, one of them's, like, what happened to Choose Your Own Adventure books. Just made me think about it because as a kid, Choose Your Own Adventure was so cool, now it's like, is it even a thing?
Yeah, didn't oh, what's the Black Mirror? I think Black Mirror had that episode that came out years and years ago where it was a choose your own adventure TV show
Oh, that's
for
sick.
and I don't know if it was the first of its kind to do that, but I remember that blowing up and I did watch the movie. Or I guess it was I mean, it's just a really long TV episode. It was like an hour plus or something like that.
Wow.
And it was cool. I mean, it wasn't the greatest thing ever. It was just kind of cool and unique, kind of in the same way maybe Avatar the movie was cool and unique. Like I don't like the film, but it's look what you can actually do with CGI. Look how
Yeah.
inventive this is. But it in the film / show, you would go to a certain scene where they'd already filmed several different options, and basically there were 5 or something endings to the movie depending on the pathway that you went, and so people would rewatch the episode / movie to find out, what were the different ways if I chose this, then what would the characters do, and da da da.
Oh.
So it was and you would just use your remote to click one or the other option, like, hey, do you want to kill the person, or do you want to run? Do you want to do this, or do you almost like a video game, but the actors filmed this and went about their
That's so cool, actually. That's a really cool idea. Wow. I've only seen like one episode of Black Mirror because I've seen Miley Cyrus and I'm like, ooh, yeah, I love Miley Cyrus.
That's the one you watched?
Yeah. It was a long time
That was one of the worst ones.
Oh god. Dude, it's so hard to like maintain a schedule when you want to read and then you just want to watch so many shows, and it's like it's tough.
We have started so many TV shows and just haven't finished because books take way too much time.
Oh yeah.
I'm also it's hard for me to sit down and watch a television show at this point.
It is.
How sad was it, Rich, when we started watching Shogun? We never finished.
I know, and it was good.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't like a dip or like, oh, we watched the first 3 episodes are good and the 4th one wasn't that good. No, we liked every single episode that was coming out better and better, and we just stopped because of book.
What do you guys think? It could be just oversaturation of just constant, just new things in our faces. I think that might be a thing too. You know what I'm saying? Like oversaturation of like movies and shows are just constantly in our faces. So it's like, if you watch this, you immediately have to watch this right after, just to stay relevant.
I mean, that has to be a factor. But I think the other one is just, it's a priority list of anytime I have free time, normally goes to books. That's just that's my hobby now. And so for me to go out of my way to watch a TV show, last time we watched Shogun, it was together. We were trying to watch Arcane. I love Arcane season 1. Tried watching season 2. I liked the first couple episodes, but I was watching it with friends.
Yeah.
And at this point, I just have not. I can't remember the last time I've watched a television show by myself.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that a lot. Like my girl is making me watch Sex in the City, so that's the only thing I've been watching. And that is not for me at all. I was like, this is such a wild show, but that's what she's making me watch. But that's like the only show I'm watching. Probably.
What is the value there of books are obviously a solo sport, is you're reading it alone, and yes, you get to interact after you finish the thing. Maybe you can listen to an audiobook. Rich and I did that once. We listened to an audiobook, Hitchhiker's Guide, in a car drive when we were going on a weekend trip, and that was fun to be able to listen to it. Well, fun for me, not for Rich, but that was fun. And that's another story. But
every bump in the road, he'd rewind it by 30 seconds.
Like, I gotta catch the dial. I'm not a skim reader. Zach agrees with me. I'm not one of those TikTok skim readers. Okay,
you just got to pay attention better.
I was driving. I was driving around. I was like, oh, I missed that part. And anyways, so the since books are so solo, when you guys watch a TV show or movie, do you feel almost obligated to go, I got to do this with somebody else? This is not I gotta watch with your, like Zach, with your girlfriend or Rich. You gotta watch with a group and do something, or because there's plenty of people that don't do that.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I just don't want to watch television in general.
I'm the same way. Like, so there are certain things I will watch by myself because like my girl doesn't like horror movies. I watch a lot. Even like right now, I literally watched one called Food for the Gods. It's a really bad creature feature from not Lovecraft, Wells, H.P. Wells. He wrote it, and so I didn't know it was a book, but the cover looked cool. It's just giant rats. I was like, dude, I love creature features, and I watched that by myself because I know she wouldn't, but most of the time, her and I usually watch like a
Hmm.
rom-com together. And if I have a choice, I usually just read. Or I watch more YouTube than I like watch
Mhm.
shows. And that's
Yeah.
addicting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I watch YouTube way more than movies or television shows.
Oh
So
yeah.
that is my addiction.
It's
That
so
kick.
it's so weird because it's like you're still like in my head. If I'm like, oh, I should watch this show, I just go immediately on YouTube instead and just watch like a ton of different stuff constantly, or just
You,
read a book.
you feel like that's less time consuming than you end up watching 20 videos and several and like 100 shorts, and it stacks up. You could have watched 2 movies in that time span. Because you justify in your head like, oh, I don't have time to watch an hour episode of a show or hour and a half movie. So I'll just go on YouTube real quick.
Yeah, I probably do.
And never happens. And then you go, okay, that was it's the same way of a friend was mentioning this the other day of when you go on a run and let's say you're going for a half marathon and it's 13.1 miles and nobody ever thinks they're running 13.1 miles. It's I'm running I'm running 2 5 miles and then a 3.1 mile.
Yeah,
Like you break it up in your head to go, it's actually not that much. And
yep,
YouTube gets you with the same thing of, oh yeah, the small increments trick you into just go watching more and more and more and more.
yep.
And yeah, that which is why people should listen to long form, talking with tubers with Zach and podcasts exclusively because it doesn't trick you.
It's true.
You see that hour runtime and go, you know what you're getting into.
Well, that's why actually when I first saw you guys did the giant like your when I got into I downloaded like TikTok and then now I don't even use TikTok anymore because it's so draining on you. But I saw your video about talking about how like I think it was Frodo and Legolas never talk to each other at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, is this like a podcast? And I looked you guys up on YouTube. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a podcast for books. That's so cool. And yeah, that was a while ago. And I listen to you guys once in a blue moon when I see like cool stuff that you guys do. Because you guys talk about books that I haven't read yet. So I'm like, I don't want to be spoiled yet. But I did listen to your guys' talk about Winds of Truth. Winds and Truth, I think.
Yeah.
The last Stormlight book. 'Cause
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah, that
a lot
was
of people hated on that one, and I was like, "Oh, thank God I haven't read it."
well. That was interesting at the time. We thought we would kind of be the outliers and didn't know, like, oh, are we gonna drop a real hot take? But now that time's gone on, we really didn't have much of a hot take. It seems like we were kind of with them, maybe not the majority, but a large plurality of people just really did not connect with that book.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like, so I told my girl, I was like, "Brandon Sanderson's dropping a new book." I'm like, "This is gonna be big for fantasy," and I'm like, "Not your romantasy stuff, like actual fantasy." I'm like, "This book's gonna be huge." And then like a week later, I've just been seeing so many people are posting like, "Yeah, it was not that good." I'm like, "Am I in the Twilight Zone? Like, what's going on?" Because I listened to your guys' video about it because I was like, all right, there's no way. And you guys brought up like how he used the word therapist, and I immediately was like, no way, he did not. Like that really would take me out of like a fantasy book if someone used the word therapist. And then I got into like Matt's fantasy books, and he like went off on it. I was like, all right, holy crap, I guess this book's not as good as everyone says. Which
Well, there's something. There's a link between that and a big reason why I just don't watch TV or really any television and most movies now is it felt like a Hollywood movie in the
uh,
worst possible way of the dialogue felt like it was written by Hollywood writers, and I think most of them suck.
I agree.
Why do I not watch most TV? Dialogue sucks. Like it, the most of these shows offer is like, oh, it kind of looks pretty sometimes.
So you're telling me you don't like Rings of Power?
You would guess correctly.
You have not seen what I have seen. You have not seen. I cringed so hard in that whole trailer.
It's honestly one of the worst shows I've seen.
What about
Just
Wheel of Time?
period. Here's the thing. I think Wheel of Time is slightly better.
Oh
And
yeah,
I hate it personally more because
Me
they're
too.
doing awful things to my favorite thing, but it's technically slightly better than Rings of Power.
What
Yeah.
about Kenobi?
Oof, oof.
You're right. That is worse.
Oh,
I don't. Which now that's the real question.
That's
Which
the
one's
question.
worse
that
between
that
Rings
is
of Power and Kenobi?
Mm.
Kenobi was a special kind of awful, but
yeah. Oh my gosh, that was so disappointing. I actually resubscribed to Disney Plus for Kenobi, and when they opened
You
up
poor
with Leia,
soul.
I know when Leia was getting chased in the woods, it looked like a stupid Disney show. Like how like early Disney when they had like little funny scenes and the little kids are running from like the adults.
Yeah.
And I was like, this can't be a Star Wars show. There's no way this is real. And it is. I was like, oh, I just wasted $10.
Yeah, that was rough. That was
And
rough.
I haven't
And I'll
watched. Go
oh,
on.
sorry.
Sorry.
No, go Zach. Yeah.
I was gonna say I just haven't watched any Star Wars shows after.
Well, and I heard Andor was amazing. I
Yeah.
heard incredible things. Kenobi was so bad that I'm like, I believe all of you, but I don't want to get hope again just to get another Kenobi 2. I just like I know I'm gonna have a great time. I know it's gonna be lovely. And then something bad's gonna come out that makes me do like, oh, I don't want to. It's a cycle.
also how much is like in the back of your head going like, okay, maybe Andor is pretty good, but is that coming from people who've like the bar has been set so low
I don't
that
know.
like
No,
you finally get something
Bookworm
pretty
liked
darn
it, so it's actually good.
Oh, that is fair.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
that means it actually is of quality. Yeah,
Yes.
I forgot.
She does some work. I like clap for that because she really grinds
yeah.
out some like really good quality like videos.
Oh yeah,
And
Definitely.
stuff.
it's
Most
I'm like,
prepared,
oh,
best detailed booktube videos on the space.
oh yeah. And she like every time she like posts, she'll just talk about like a book review, and her videos are so in depth. And I'm like, yeah, you can post book reviews and still get really good views. She does really well. Like, I'm just
Mhm.
like, wow. I wish I had the patience to do that because I editing after 5 minutes just drives me nuts. It's just so tedious, especially because I say and a lot in my videos or and I was like, all right, we gotta take this out.
Oh,
Gotta
you
cut
cut those
this.
out?
Oh
See
yeah,
that's when you, instead of editing it, you just change your pattern of speech to so you don't have to edit it anymore.
true.
That's
I'm
the
I'm
real
getting a
key.
lot better. A lot
And
better
do
now.
you cut those out for guests and
No, I'm just gonna do like quick zooms on your face every time you
just
say
every time just point it out.
Just
It-
zoom in right on your face.
Have
That
you
is one
noticed
of the most annoying. I can't unhear it now in regular conversation with some friends. Like,
what?
Austin, we have a particular friend in common that uses buts and ums, or no,
Yes, we
uses
do.
like
Like
so much.
it's
Like I
it's
need to
one of
have multiple conversations with him to stop. It is now it's crossed a
it's
threshold.
that word. It's the word like. He doesn't say
Yeah.
or
It's
and
like.
yet it's like and it's one of those things in elementary school or just my whole life teachers said to me or said when we were speaking out loud to not use the word like. So I remember
Mhm.
this always being drilled into my head, and
Yeah.
I would still do it too. I would say like all the time because I don't know what
It's a
about
filler word. Everyone uses it to some
exactly.
degree or another. It's not like
It,
oh, never use it, but the degree
Yeah.
he uses it.
I'm
He
curious
sounds
about
like one
why
of those
that
Valley
word, right?
girls.
But I was thinking about why the word like, why is that used as a filler word? Because there's I don't know, my two brain cells thought is similes and analogies we use a lot of the time and say, hey, the basketball is like a smaller sun. A very bad analogy, but you always compare things by saying like, and also, hey, I like this, I don't like that. It's
Yeah.
somehow ingrained into that's the word almost fits with almost anything. So people use the word as a filler, but going on that rant, I was kind of just wondering for Zach, because I know Rich and I feel like this has doing content or just speaking on camera a lot helped you be somewhat more aware of you using filler words or just trying to change your speech to sound less bad in your own head, because you're your own worst critic. You watch yourself, if you do, on playback going, oh God, I said 50 times and I'm not halfway. Do you do that a lot?
So yeah, I mean, honestly, booktube has helped me a lot. When I was younger, I had a real bad speech impediment. Sometimes the words just are not there for me, so my speech impediment kicks in once in a while. So I think booktube has helped me, and reading has helped me so much where I don't have to, like, my words are not so meshed together anymore. But at first when I started recording, oh, it was brutal. I would never look at the camera. I would always go like this and just
Yep.
look down, and it was so bad. But now I'm getting a lot better with just being used to it. But I do that a lot of hand things. I've noticed a lot.
Also, the cat's a great touch.
Oh yeah,
The cat's a great touch. Thing is, the hand stuff is actually important.
yeah.
Talking with your hands is so much better than just like arms at the side completely talking like this.
Where was that energy when the pod started? Because you always made fun of me for being Italian and moving my hands everywhere. You say I move my hands too much.
Additionally is joking and humor and ribbing your friends. It's not about what's true. It's about what will get a reaction out of you, Austin. That's the point.
Okay. Because you could never say, hey, your hand movements help you enunciate your speech. And when you talk, I understand what you're saying more. It's more so stop moving your hands, you greasy Italian, is what you typically say instead.
Generally, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I say some other not friendly for YouTube Italian words, but that's off the podcast.
Got it. Okay, understood.
A lot of G words there.
I get a couple of comments once in a while that someone's like, will this guy stop moving his hands? It's distracted me. It's like, I don't do it. So then the next video I make, I purposely use my hands a lot more.
Yes.
Because it's like, you just watched the video, so thanks.
Yes.
No, I get some. I always thought people would like lie about like the comments people leave on your videos. It's crazy the amount of like, why are you saying this? Why?
What's one that sticks out?
So when I did Name of the Win, one guy, so I mispronounced the main guy's name. I call him Cluth or something.
That's actually
that's pretty funny.
Like,
I also make fun of you for it. Yeah, Cluth.
This guy doesn't have a clue what he's talking about.
Exactly. That's why I was like, and I realized after I posted the video, I was like, well, too late now. And a guy commented, he's like, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't even know how to pronounce his name. I don't trust him. I'm like, okay, thanks, man.
Also, the name is spelled weird. Yeah. I don't know how else. Like the only way I know it's Quoth particularly is because audiobook.
Yeah, I use audio.
I don't know. It's a weirdly spelled name. You could pronounce it. Okay, Cluth is weird. I don't know how you got Cluth.
My dyslexia was kicking in, I guess. With audiobooks.
I can still empathize.
Dude, it's not even like you took the silent V, you just added an L.
Yeah.
But we get the same stuff because I've been audiobooking more recently, but I need to get back more physical reading for sure. When doing that all the time, we get so many pronunciations wrong. That's some of our most common comments is about the pronunciation of the names. And especially with audiobooks existing, people know how to pronounce it because it's said by the narrator, it's said by the audiobook narrator. But is that the big thing that you notice, or do you get another type of criticism? Because is it anything serious? I mean, hey, if they're making fun of your pronunciation, it's not like, this dude just is a bad person. You don't get that, I'm sure. I mean, is it that crazy?
So since I've been posting more videos about my opinion on women's books, I guess, I actually get a lot of I get called misogynist a lot.
Oh, really?
Oh, all the time. And so I message my little sister every single time. I'll tell her ahead of time, like, hey, look, I'm gonna post this video. I need you to tell me if this is. And she always is like, no, you're just talking about the book.
Okay, then be like, also, I hate you because you're a woman at the end of that. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you say like your whole video and it ended off with also women are inferior. But that's all for this time. Come back next video.
See you guys.
No, but it has nothing to do with the hate of this book. I mean, those are two separate issues.
Completely separate things.
Yeah. Well, like, I had one girl comment, and no, it's funny. I usually have dudes comment and say that. One guy called me a smooth. He's like, I am smooth brain, and I'm insecure about women because I didn't like ACOTAR, which is the weirdest comment. I literally was like, what? But I get a lot of comments from mostly men that are like, yeah, this guy doesn't like women because he's way easier on male books. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You clearly have not watched enough of my videos because I'm pretty fair. But like, my favorite author currently for like women is Emily Henry. I would recommend her for romance.
Oh, what's she written?
She wrote, so I only read 2 of her books. Yeah, I only read 3, sorry, I would do like beach reads, people we meet on vacation, and then oh my gosh, I just read it. What's wrong with me? I cannot think of it right now. But and then I'm reading like Happy Place from her and stuff. But her books are really, really good. It's like her books, I tell people, is like the romance is kind of the subplot, if that makes sense. Even though it's a romance novel, but she focuses more on the characters and their like what they're going through, but the romance is there. Like who they're gonna hook up with who, but it's like that's not the focus. She really slow burns it, and it's really fun. I love Emily Henry. Her books are good. I would recommend some Emily Henry, and yeah, I'm trying to get into more romance authors because I like romance. I think romance is fun. It really is. It's a fun shut your brain off genre.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
well, it's also just not a genre. I know it's not particularly a genre for me. It's just not my interest. But when it comes to like men versus like books targeted toward women and books targeted toward men, I think it's completely fair to say like there are some books out there like where the characters are not particularly good, but it speaks. It's still entertaining. There's a reason why like you look at through all of the 80s of all the different content like targeted toward boys is not particularly good, but it is still entertaining.
Yeah.
And I think I feel the same way with like Fourth Wing and ACOTAR kind of stuff of more so with ACOTAR of it's not my genre, but I imagine like I understand it's entertaining for a lot of women out there.
Oh, 100%.
But that doesn't negate I could still say like it doesn't work for me for X, Y, and Z reasons.
Well, yeah. And I was telling my sister and I were talking about that before, and I told her, I was like, I think personally you should try yes, you can have a genre. So like ACOTAR is clearly for women, but shouldn't Sarah J. Maas try to write it where men could also enjoy it? You know what I'm saying? Like one of those things instead of directly. So if a guy reads it, he's gonna be like, I don't like this at all. Like even the male characters are not very likable. Like, I can't think of his name. Man, I was gonna say Shadlin, but his name's not that. Oh my gosh, it's the other dude who Feyre hooks up with. That's not Tamlin.
Rysand.
Rysand, thank you.
Yeah.
When he trauma dunked for like 10 pages, I was like, dude, can we just move on from this? Yeah, it was I get a lot of hate for that part too. They're like, you just don't understand. He's expressing himself. I'm like, yeah, for 10 pages, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure
we both hated that second book. I think it's technically better written than the first book.
Yeah.
But it makes it way less fun to read. Well, I was bored out of my mind.
Rich, what would your actual ratings be for the book 1 and book 2? If you had to put a number, because hey, we have fun with our reviews. We didn't actually seriously review them. I'm just curious what you really think.
The first one like is more fun. It was more fun for me to read on a external experience of like, oh my god, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I had fun in that space. it's like The Room type of deal. If I'm laughing at the book, not with,
Yeah.
but it's not good. So maybe closer to like a 1.5, 1.75, somewhere there.
Okay.
And
What about
I
the second
think
one?
second book I think gets like the highest I could ever really give it is a 2. And it's the most boring 2 I can think
Oh,
of.
so you objectively think it's better, but you didn't like it as much.
Yeah, no, I was bored. My principal
Got it.
problem with it
Got
is
it.
boredom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything else is like, yeah, I
So you did
understand the
like it more
character.
than Wind and Truth still?
Maybe, yeah.
Ooh.
Honest, I hated Wind and Truth so much.
Well, and that's
I've
the
never
thing
wanted
too.
to. I've never wanted to not read a book so much than Wind and Truth.
Well, that's the thing too, is like, come here, buddy. My cat is all up in here. But that's the thing too, is like When in Truth is more personal with you too. Like Stormlight, you actually put so much effort into liking that. So I can understand why you would say, yeah, book 2 of Avatar is better because your commitment wasn't there compared to Stormlight. And that,
Also
yeah,
possible. Yeah.
I will say, biggest thing I was telling my sister about book 2 of Avatar, why what I think it would have been fine, but I told her, I'm like, dude, they made Tamlin just such a weirdo and like a whole 180. Like his whole personality is just different. He wanted to
I,
say hi.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Anyways.
Tamlin like kind of makes sense, and it's I don't know. I understand his character, and the beginning steps of it are understandable, and then he just kind of falls off a cliff of
Yeah.
understanding. Like he's then ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's so obtuse to not understand Feyre at all is
Yeah.
the weird part.
Well, yeah. And then the weirdest part about all of book 2 is it's all because the whole plot is because of Tamlin just wanting her to come back home.
Yeah, but then even
Like,
worse, it's like he just keeps putting her like treating her like a trophy. And I understand like this is a very um common trope inside of the women romance novels, like the whole the more I read, the more I'm understanding of like women don't want the knight in shining armor and like to stand in front of them. They want the man to stand next to them and
yeah.
support them, protect them, but also know when they can handle it. And it's that like balance where Tamlin is too protective and Rysand is protective, but not like still willing to like trust her. It's this whole
It's all
back and
weird.
forth dance. It's like, yeah, I don't
That's
know.
it's just weird. I don't know, I really struggled with that book, and oh man, I've been kicking book 3 down the road because I'm like, I don't know if I want to commit to it that much at all, but just because it's a lot. And I've been reading them
They're
off
getting
of
bigger.
oh yeah, I know. And it's like I use Kindle, and right now Kindle's like, yeah, you guys aren't allowed to own your books anymore. So I'm like, do I want to buy it? Like
Fuck Kindle.
yeah, for
Fuck
real.
Amazon. I'm so glad I've mostly hopped off the Amazon train in terms of books.
Well,
But
my thing is for self-pub authors. So like I'm an indie author and there's a lot of others that only use Kindle. So it's like, can you get the same support from Kubo? And that the truth is no. Like it's just not there. So I'm like, you have to keep your stuff on Amazon, sadly. Because I thought about switching over to Kubo, and then the truth of the matter is I don't think it's viable.
well, there certainly isn't the market. The readers are not there. And so
No.
if you take it off of Kindle, it's just especially for indie publishers, you're just not going to
Mhm.
get the same amount of money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
No,
I
and it's
think
so sad.
even Sanderson, if he tries to take it he's just going to make less money.
Yeah.
And one of the bigger names in the industry can't force his way to make another platform popular. But
No.
I don't know. To me, if buying isn't owning, then pirating isn't stealing. That's
Yeah, it's
I
true.
don't know. That's my thought with DRM bullshit.
I did not understand it at first. I'm like, so wait, you're basically just renting your books. That's like the gist of it. And then I kept doing more research. I'm like, it is. You're not actually owning them. My biggest beef about all of it is I hate this the most is they're able to edit and change words in books.
Yeah.
I strongly am against that. Like, I was explaining that to my girlfriend because she's like, why is that an issue? I'm like, so because books that were written 20 years ago, 30 years ago are going to say words that people are not going to like nowadays. And they're going to edit and change those to be more modern. And I'm like, I don't agree with that. I don't care. I don't care if it's rude or anything nowadays. That's just how the book was written during that era. So you just don't change it. Like Ronald Delphi, I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Roald Dahl.
Yeah, thank you.
And no, you forgot the L. It's Roald Dolphy. It's
but I saw a thing, I think it was like 2 years ago, they were changing words from his because he was using the word fat to describe like fat kids, and they were changing it to huge. I'm like, no, you don't do that. No, absolutely not.
No, they changed a bunch of it to make it inoffensive. It's to the point of like, just don't publish the book.
Yeah.
I find it just so gross of taking an author's work with like they're long dead and now changing their wording and then publishing it like it is their own.
Yep.
That's I think it's wrong to do, morally speaking.
It also feels illegal to do. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They must have the rights in some way to do it, because I don't know if Roald Dahl, or sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but
I think Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl. But I did hear about that case. Is it the case that his children, whoever's ahead of the estate, allowed it to happen too, and that's how they're able to change it? Or that could be complete conjecture. I'm not remembering the case, but it doesn't feel like you can just do that unless they have some sort of like legal quote unquote right to do it, even if it's wrong to do.
I don't know if
I believe they
just,
do.
I would be surprised they still have like the rights to. I don't know if it's his kids, but it's like the Tolkien stuff. Like his grandson Simon is the reason why Rings of Power is so bad, because he said the books are too boring. He wants it like
Really?
Yeah, I was listening to a thing on YouTube about it, and he said he wants the Rings of Power to be like Breaking Bad. I was like, what?
Some people don't deserve
Maybe the popularity
Tolkien
of it.
name.
No, I was like, yeah. Are you talking about like the level of how good the show is? Yeah, me too. Then, but
You see, that's we had a video, a podcast on this. We need to do it again, Rich, of the public domain and how long a copyright lasts, and how long because right now in the US, I think it's the current one is life of author plus 75 years. I think
it is.
and it's fascinating because once something goes into public domain, that's how you get great stories. That's how you get, that's how Disney exists, which the old classic Disney exists. And then I don't know, when you think about that and you go, there's something about making an adaptation or making the story purposefully different, or like Wicked, or just adding to the lore of a story that's clearly different than the original, but that's different than taking the original and changing the original. Unless it's the author Tolkien literally goes to the Hobbit, hey, I want to change this chapter so that it works with the later Lord of the Rings books, and hey, it's my book, so I want to change the future versions and copies. Sanderson did that with Wave King. Wave Kings was a words where Zeth survives that battle, etc. But that happens more for plot purpose for the author to make their series work versus changing the author's intent and writing and wordage and verbiage. And it's very different cases.
It's really annoying.
Yeah, I think it's a mentality shift of even. I think a lot of remakes are made today with the intention of, hey, look at this thing people really like. I think I can do it better.
Yeah.
And like it's missing my flair. It's missing my spice, and I can improve it. Versus you look at things like Wicked. Wicked is a remake, but it's like, hey, let's take this story and show a cool side of it.
Yep.
Or you take Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven. hey, look at this great story, but what if we change the setting to the Wild West instead of like, feudal Japan? Like, how does it change? A lot of it stays the same. And I'm even thinking of blatant remakes of The Wiz, which
Oh
is, I
yeah,
love The Wiz, by the
the
way.
Wiz is
All now we're
really
talking about
good.
it. But it's a, black Motown remake of Wizard of Oz. But it's not like the creators were like, oh, I'm going to make the Wizard of Oz better. No, they
Yeah,
just take a story and add something fresh and new and a twist to the idea rather than trying to replace it with an inferior version.
I absolutely agree. 100% agree. It's so sad. And speaking of Wicked, I did watch Wicked. I'm a fan of musicals. And I'm not like, oh, I need to go watch some musicals, but my girlfriend loves musicals. And our deal was she was gonna watch Nosferatu with me. Did not do it, which I was really depressed. But Nosferatu and Wicked are both like good examples of like we're gonna do our own twist, but we're still gonna respect what was there. And I really appreciated Wicked for that. And Wicked was really good. I'm just gonna put that out there. It was really good.
Oh, the movie was great.
Yeah,
It's so
like
fun.
I told my girl, I was like, singing better be good. Ariana Grande's in it, and she can sing. And I don't remember the other actress who played Elzeba, but
Cynthia, I believe.
yeah, she. Oh my god, they have some lungs, but they need some cheeseburgers though. That's for sure.
Well,
Like,
the shocking thing to me was this, that Ariana was the better actress, and I think Cynthia was the better singer.
yeah,
It
I
it
agree.
was Ariana killed that role. Like,
Oh,
I was stunned that I know she had her acting in Nickelodeon days, but I just did not expect her to pull off that role. I expected amazing singing from her.
I did too.
Then the acting threw me off. Like, what? Why am I so
Oh,
invested in this character?
I was I was flabbergasted. I told him after the movie. I told my girlfriend I was like, I think Ariana Grande's character was my favorite character. She's like, even over Elzeba, I'm like, Elzeba's fine, but I'm like, she's just performance
Who
wise,
was Elzeba
Ariana.
again? Elzeba.
The Green Witch, the
Oh,
Wicked
that
Witch.
okay. Yes, my bad.
The other, like, there's two
There's two
main,
characters.
There's two witches.
there's two witches.
Damn it! I got it wrong.
But yeah, I didn't know. So apparently there's part 2 coming out this year. I didn't know that. So I
Yeah.
gotta binge 3 hours of that too. But I
That
was
is
really
another annoying trend of
oh my gosh,
parts
yeah.
and like they're starting to get a little too bold on these part movies. It's just
Yeah. Actually, I even feel like
Dune
books are like that.
makes
Oh,
sense.
Dune
Like
Dune got
it's
robbed.
long. It needs two parts. Spider-Man into the like across the Spider-Verse. Did that really need to be two parts?
It's 3. It's gonna be 3.
Well, no. Like it's a. Oh wait, is it? Like
So
the third movie is now in three parts.
oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, you're talking about the second one is in 2 parts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because it's
Yeah.
not like they said, "Oh no, this is movie 2 and the next one is movie 3." Second movie is just half a movie.
Uh, that's even worse. I haven't watched
Yeah.
it because I was like, I'm gonna just wait until it's all 3 of them are out
Mm.
because I was like, what's the point? But I watched the first one was cool. I didn't expect a sequel, but
First
yeah,
one's great.
I'm so tired of that. I'm especially tired of shows doing that. Stranger Things, dude, all the actors and actresses are like in their mid-20s now. Just
That's crazy.
yeah, like Millie Bobby Brown's like 22 or 23 now and still not done. It's just irritating. And I mean, same thing when it comes to like authors. Like it's so weird that like, for example, George R. R. Martin and Patrick Rothfuss still haven't released their books. And it's like, why haven't the publishers like say, hey, you need to release these books? Like,
Well, I imagine they are, but like they can't do anything. Like if you don't release the book, you don't release the book. Like what's the
yeah,
publisher gonna do about it? Like send someone around with a stick and it's like
just start beating George. When he
Yeah.
wakes up, just hit him, be like, write
This
the
is
book.
my boomstick. Just comes in.
Well, yeah, and it's like, so with George, I'm more understanding why honestly, I don't think he's ever gonna finish it. I think he's just lying. I think he's gonna have I think it's gonna be like the Robert Jordan thing where someone else is gonna finish Game of Thrones. but I think he just has way more power than like Patrick Rothfuss, so he doesn't have to do it. If that makes sense, like just the level of like power between the two of them. George is like, yeah, I'm not ever gonna do this, and the publishers are like, all right, but Patrick Rothfuss is like screwing his fans over, lying and everything, and that just rubs me the wrong way so much.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing of the publishers are making money off the first book still, but they probably like it's not an additional cost
Yeah,
to them to like if he doesn't release a book, they just don't make money. It's not like they're losing money
yeah,
because he's not. So they're just I think probably the publisher is just giving up.
yeah. Which is that's my assumption. I think they're just like, well, I guess if you show up with it, then you show up.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. I don't know. It just really rubs me the wrong way. I couldn't imagine doing that to my fans. Like they're just sitting there like, hey, when's the next book coming out? I would rather have my author just tell me, yeah, I don't have anything for it yet. Instead of being like, it's coming, it's coming.
Well, there's a couple authors that have been it's been a long time since they released a sequel. I'm thinking of the author behind Lies of Locke Lamora,
Yeah.
and also Evan Winter, where it's been a minute
Yeah.
since the book has come out, but they're not lying to their fans. They're just like, "Hey, I'm having some trouble right now." It like I have no like they're not promising a date. They're not giving us like occasionally updates. I'm like still having a hard time. No date on the horizon. Like at least they're not jerking their fans all the
Yeah.
time.
I respect that a lot more. That's why I haven't read Scott Lynch's books. Yeah, it's Scott Lynch, right? He's
I think so. Yeah.
yeah, I haven't read his books because I wanna like wait until like the newer one comes out and then I'll just binge them all until. But like I haven't read Evan Winter's books either because I don't want to wait. I really don't want to be like, ooh, what's gonna happen? Even though I want to read Game of Thrones this year
Yeah.
because I have to know how good the books are. Everyone talks about how great these books are. I'm like, I have to read them. I mean, the show is good for a minute, so I'm I
I
don't
would
know.
recommend for both writers actually read the first book and stop.
Oh, really?
They're complete on their own. You don't need to read on. I
Oh,
at least I don't think they both second books are good, but not better than the first. With Skylinch, I actually genuinely didn't like the third book,
I
so
hear that a lot.
I'm not sure. With Evan Winter, I like the second book, but I'm also not like itching for the third. I'm I'm I'll be excited because I think he's a good writer. I will read the third book whenever it comes out, but I'm not on the edge of my seat.
So this is something that we've talked about, like with the Lord of the Rings stuff. Have you guys read Dune, or have you guys just seen the movie?
Yeah.
We,
No, I
So,
read
we
Dune.
yeah, we read them. Yeah.
so is the book actually worth it to read? I plan on reading the first 4 books over the summer.
100%. But we've both only read the first book,
Right.
and yeah, no, I almost find it. The book was required material to enjoy the first movie.
Oh wow. Okay. I own the first 4 of them because I watched Mike's video about talking about like the Dune series because yeah, he's like obsessed with them, which is cool. Like so he was talking about like the first 4 the ones you want to read. So I actually found all of them like mass paperback, old fashioned at my used bookstore. So I was like, all right, I'll buy them all. So I plan on reading them over the summer. I just was like, I don't know. I'm not a big sci-fi guy. Like I want to read
It's
like
heavy sci-fi, so
It's heavy
yeah.
sci-fi. You may
yeah.
not like it. I when
I
I
mean,
first read it, it took me 50%. I didn't get it. Like I was actually very confused until about halfway through the book. And then
wow.
it started clicking. I'm like, okay, I think I understand now.
I see the hype.
I, I got it, but it took me. It's a relatively harder book to read, especially if you're not a fan of the genre as much.
And you started
Yeah.
with not that this is a one-to-one, but Pride and Prejudice, you sat down, weren't feeling it.
Yeah.
I imagine it could be one of those things where you start and go, either you finish 50 pages and go, not right now, or you're loving it and you just read it in a couple sittings.
That's how it is sometimes for me. Like, I get questions all the time. Everyone's like, "How can you read so fast?" And I'm like, sometimes when you're reading a book, you just feel it, and you
Oh
don't even
yeah.
realize like 5 hours went by, and you're like, "Holy crap! I just spent 5 hours reading a book."
Honestly, the worst thing that I really need to find a way to do this in my life, but the worst thing I found for retention and enjoying a book is splitting up into multiple reading sessions.
Yeah,
Like the more you can just treat a book like a more so like a movie. Obviously, you can't just sit down and read a book all day, but the fewer sessions, the better. I've found with my recollection and enjoyment. Because then if you're not liking a book and you take so long, and I get it, there's audiobooks, you're in the car and you're digesting it over a vast period of time. But I've noticed that books that I've just gone through, I just did this recently with Discovery, which I would have loved regardless, but it was so much more enjoyable to just read chunks of the story and not have to go back and go, wait, who was that? What name was that person? And then that, because that's happened with me for a book that takes me 3 weeks to read, and then
yeah,
it drains you, but obviously that's very hard to do. So I guess for Rich, I know you're hard on audiobooks recently, at least, so it's hard to do, like, listen to an audiobook all day. So, I mean, you're in spurts, you're going listen to audiobook again when you have time. When's the last time you've, like, sat down and go, "Okay, I'm reading a book." It's book day.
Um, a Blood and Fire.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Before the book club, a couple
Oh,
days
because you
before.
had to press that in, right.
Yeah, no, I
what
went to a coffee shop to like sit and read.
Got it.
isn't that Ryan Cahill's book?
Hmm.
Yes,
I have
yeah.
not read his books yet, but I hear nothing but good things.
Temper your expectations on the first one.
Temper
Okay.
them, yes.
Temper them appropriately. I have heard the third book is like it's one of our friends' like favorite books ever,
Mm,
and I'm excited. I am actually genuinely excited to read book two, in the sense of like I trust that it will be better. There's a
Yeah,
couple nuggets that are like it wasn't interesting in the first book, but I was going, oh, there's a couple little seeds here that I'm
yeah.
wondering like this could go in a cool direction. And when I mentioned that, they said you'll like book two. So I'm like, okay,
Ooh.
all right, we'll see. We'll see
Have
then.
you read the novellas then yet, or no?
The first one, The Fall.
So do you do novella, then the first book, and then novella, or first book, novella, like that? I don't know. I was told that it's different. It doesn't really matter. However you do, like the first book and then the fall, or I was told you can do either or first.
You can, but I think it depends on the type of reader you are.
Hmm.
I know for myself, a big reason I like stories like The Wheel of Time and a bunch of different fantasy novels, of why I love Lord of the Rings, the books, more so than the movies, is I like the mystery aspect of discovering the world. I like
Mm,
not knowing a bunch of stuff and being kind of thrown at the wall of like, what's going on?
right.
And I like that slow build up and then paid off. So I read The Fall first, and I wish I didn't, because I got a lot of context, so when I'm into the book, I know what's going on, more so than I particularly wanted to. But
That makes sense.
if you want that hard action right out of the gate, you want the context, you want better action, right, and, like, you're starting off strong, maybe start with The Fall.
Oh, interesting. So I will ask this. This will probably be my last question that I can think of right off the top of my head. Are you guys manga readers?
I am.
I'm not.
Oh, you gotta read some manga, dude. It's so good.
It's not out of dislike, I just have never picked up one.
Berserk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Berserk,
everyone like,
definitely.
yeah, it's I'll be honest, I've gone okay, manga for me is mostly I've talked with Austin about this, just like, it's my toilet bowl reading, of if I'm going to the
That's
bathroom,
that's
it's
fair.
short, it's like, you can read a chapter in, you know, 3 to 5 minutes
Easily.
easily. It's like perfect time for a bathroom break type of deal.
Oh
But
yeah. Well,
yeah,
and
no, there's a lot of junk out there though.
oh
That's the
yeah.
big problem. There's some real gems out there, but I would say most is pretty terrible storytelling. Or at the very
Yeah.
least, very alien to our concept of good.
Oh yeah, like some of it is a little like this is really written. Like what? Like I just finished like Vagabond, and I read all like 38 volumes in like a weekend because I was just so glued to it. But that is
Mhm.
such good storytelling. And when a lot of people ask me, like, I'm really picky on my manga lately, but I was explaining to him as like Vagabond, I think is a really good thing of showing people how to understand masculinity. I don't think it's a thing like women can read it, but it's definitely not targeted towards women. I think it's targeted towards a lot of men, and I think it's a really helpful thing for masculinity. I think
Hmm.
it's just a lot of elements with Vagabond. It's like there's not a lot of action, but it's more of there's hardly no words either. There's so many pages where it's just art, but there's just so much meaning in that.
Hmm.
It's so weird for me to describe, but it's so good. And like Vinland Saga is another one I recommend people, and so is Berserk. Like,
Mhm.
oh, Berserk is an emotional ride. It's such a trip. I would recommend those. Or
Sweet.
you get into the girly stuff and read Sailor Moon.
Well,
Oh,
I'll give you a manga recommendation if you like.
yeah.
This is more deeper cut. It's not very popular, but I think it's really good. Um, it's called Rebuild World,
Hmm,
and it's sci-fi manga.
okay.
The It is mostly typical. Like it's nothing is particularly new. It's just the main character is fundamentally broken,
Hmm,
and exploring this orphan kid that has now been kind of thrust into a spotlight of sorts, but his morality structure is just so odd to like examine. So you don't understand completely how he would act, and it's fun to discover that and just kind of weird.
oh,
I enjoy the story and the mystery of it.
yeah. I mean, that's what matters, honestly, at the end of the day.
Mhm.
It's I would argue, I think like the anime slash manga community are like the most toxic fandoms ever. Like if you so I'm not the biggest fan of One Piece. I don't see the hype behind it. Oh man, you get butchered for saying that stuff. Like, oh my gosh, I think a lot of people on BookTube read One Piece just and they say they like it, so they get views because you get a lot of views on One Piece. And I mean, that might be a hot take. I'm not trying to hate on anyone. I get it. Get your views, but it's like I just don't see it. Like I don't see the appeal of One Piece at all. Like, oh man, I just
Yeah,
I don't know. It might be a hot take, maybe,
maybe
but
so. I personally really I liked One Piece a lot more before the time skip.
I hear that a lot. A lot of people say they liked it before the time skip because I think so. I'm gonna read the next two arcs because I really want to understand. I really try to push myself to understand why people like certain things because the fear of missing out is so strong most of the time on the internet, and everyone says once you get to like 500 chapters, that's when it's really good, and that's where I'm gonna be ending.
How
So
many chapters?
500.
What arc have you gotten to?
I just finished the crocodile one.
See, that was the one that kind of got me.
Oh,
Everything
really?
before that, I was like, oh, I like the crocodile one. That
I think.
was I watched the anime as well. I was like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, this is it. This is cool.
I think.
But also Water 7 is,
Yeah.
I think,
Everyone.
the best arc in the whole thing, and it's so good. Like it actually is like amazing. But
So
yeah, after that, they're hit and misses.
I think Water 7 is essentially the pain arc for Naruto and the Blood War arc for Bleach. That's how I kind of look at it. Each of the big three have like really big arcs that everyone loves, and now Bleach is finally getting theirs, thank God. But like that's how I kind of look at Water 7. I have a
Mhm.
guy that I work with that said he compares the pain arc of Naruto to Water 7, just how like the level of them, which is cool.
Mhm.
I mean, I want to read Water 7 because I like to. I just want to understand why people like these, these things. I don't want to be a hater. I mean, I always feel like I'm a hater most of the time when I make my videos because I have a lot of takes. I'm like, yo, this is kind of trash. But I just want to see it. I want to understand why people like it. It's kind of how I always look at things.
I think the thing to focus on is mostly the world.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
a lot of it is the whimsy of the world is like kind of it's an enchanting world to be sucked into. And then
Oh,
after that, it would probably be the characters are really fun, and a lot of them, you can really empathize with them. And it's maybe not all of them are complex, but they're certainly sympathetic,
yeah.
and you get attached to them.
Well, yeah, and that's I can definitely see it where people really love a lot of these characters, and the world building in it is very unique. Like immediately, like you're like, whoa, this is not a regular world, and I respect a lot of stuff. I do like world building and stuff, but it's like I think his pacing is really hard for me to stay attached to it. Oh my gosh, and I don't know. It's mostly the pacing. Sometimes I'm just like, oh god, can we just move on, dude?
Oh yeah,
But
I can't wait for One Piece to get the Brotherhood treatment one of these days when it actually completes and it
God.
just gets a nice condensed version, all reanimated.
I think
Like,
Netflix is doing it right now. If I remember, I think Netflix is condensing it, which is good.
animated or the live action one?
I think I was reading reports that they're doing the anime of it eventually. That's their goal, is to condense it down. And I'm hoping they do that with a lot older animes too, where it's just they cut the filler, just cut the fat, because it's rough. Like Bleach, amazing anime. Everyone hates it because the filler is really bad. There's a lot of filler. So I'm like, no. Like there's over 150 episodes of filler alone, and it's like over 350 episodes. So it's rough.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, it's rough. I'd recommend just the manga. But I sadly have to depart. I gotta go pick up my girlfriend from work. So I would like to say thank you guys for coming on Talking with Tubers #2.
Well, thank you very much for having us on. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Zach.
Yeah.
But sorry, before you go, any recommendation you have for us for a book? Just curious if you got one on top of your head.
Yeah. Book Lovers from Emily Henry.
Oh, thank you. Okay, sweet. Zach, sorry,
Or
we'll let you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, or Silence of the Lamb. Great one.
Ah,
Sonic Soul.
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, I
All
love
right.
Silence of the Lamb.
Sweet, sweet,
Those are my two I would recommend.
awesome.
All righty.
But
Well, I'll leave you with definitely remind you of Gideon the Ninth, of
all
just
right.
picking up that one for mainly book 2, second person if you want to try something weird.
I'm
So
always down for weird. I read a lot of Clive Barker, and that dude is the definition of weird. So I will definitely add it. But
awesome.
thank you, everyone. Make sure you guys, of course, check out Tutor Ramble.
Awesome.
And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye all.
And